Okay, so I think I'm only 2 days late to this. I think it was Thursday of this past week when I saw news of it, and I just wanted to get through the week before my work week before I found out before I wanted to like really do anything for like a video for this. But this is right up my alley. This is what I've loved since I was a kid. So they discovered a new Spinosaurus species in I'm pretty sure the video is gonna say it, but I think it's Northern Africa. I think is where it was. And apparently I did see. I have not looked much into it on purpose because I wanted to find a video and kind of watch the video and kind of learn about it. But apparently this does change everything again for Spinosaurus. Which you gotta feel bad, man. You go from something like early 2000s with like Jurassic Park 3 with it being like a a super predator to early 2020s where it's just like this fish eater and it's just a pushover. in a sense. Now obviously I think like Carcharodontosaurus, I think it probably still took those on and still probably won some of those fights. Like the species as a whole, obviously. So I'm definitely interested to see. I do not keep up with the fossil field, I guess we'll say, in the science field that much. But this actually kind of popped up like kind of everywhere, kind of. And it's it's big news. It's a new species and whatever. So again, I don't know too much. But I did hear that this like changes everything again for them. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. I'm gonna turn my volume down, which you can't see. Actually, I guess I could just kind of leave that up, and then I'll just turn my volume down specifically. And we're gonna hit start here. So this is who is this by? Let me double check. Vividin Paleontology Evolved is the channel. Again, I'll have the link in the description so you can watch it without me just talking and pausing. Here we go.
Habitat, behavior, and body.
Hang on.
Spinosaurus just unlocked a new form, and it changes our understanding of the animal's ecology, habitat, behavior, and body size. What was Spinosaurus really?
Too.
A gigantic megatheropod killer armed with adamantium claws? A squat, knuckle-walking crocodile duck?
Yeah.
A gigantic heron-like predator stalking the shallows? Perhaps it was a mixture of all of these. At any rate, a brand new discovery by paleontologist Paul Serino and his team shakes up the constantly changing megatheropod all over again.
Look at that crest
by this time,
on its head.
Introducing an entirely separate species that dramatically expands the variation within the genus. Meet Spinosaurus mirabilis, the astonishing spine lizard.
Okay. Got an intro.
First, some background information to make sure we're in the correct position to understand the new paper. Spinosaurus aegypticus, the one we know and love, has had a convoluted history, described in 1915 by German paleontologist Ernst Stromer.
I'm gonna let it play here. I think this species, the aegypticus, I think this is the one that we lost in World War II. That if you don't know, it's I would say pretty famous among like dinosaur lovers. I mean, yeah, I would say that. I think it's a good. Yeah, we'll go with that. I think that is kind of a good term to kind of say it's like well known. But basically during World War II, when the Germans were obviously taking over Europe and whatever, I forget which country it was. Again, the guy might talk about it too, because again they're going back to 1915 here. Where was it? World War I. It might have been. Oh my God! Now I don't even remember which World War it was. Basically, Germans bombed a city, and this was like one of the few, like main we had almost everything, like a full skeleton almost for a Spinosaurus, and Germans basically bombed the city and the museum, and basically we lost the entire skeleton. Again, I think it was World War II. We'll see what he says. But that one's pretty famous. I think that's the Aegypticus, Spinosaurus aegypticus. I think is the one that was lost in the World War.
The North African giant was originally known only from jaw fragments, vertebrae, teeth, and gastralia from the Baharia Formation, making the overall body plan of the animal anyone's guess.
Look how big that sail is.
Reconstructions 100 years ago used tyrannosaurids to fill in the gaps, resulting in a towering carnivorous behemoth that would be...
Okay. I should be laughing because obviously, like, time periods, right? So different time periods and whatever for what we used to know and used to what we know now and whatnot. But that just looks so funny to me.
Right at home in a Harryhausen film. Unfortunately, further research on the holotype was doomed, as the fossils were destroyed during a bombing raid on Munich during the height of World War II.
Munich.
Yet not
okay.
all hope was lost.
So it must have been the Allies bombing Germany then, because Munich, Germany. Yeah, Munich, Germany. Yeah. So it must have been the Allies bombing. I thought it was the Germans bombing someone.
Baryonyx was discovered, and the anatomical overlap allowed us to infer more about the anatomy of Spinosaurus itself. This led to the huge, long-legged terrestrial supercarnivore that many of us grew up with and was made popular by the Jurassic Park films. Yeah. You remember Spinosaurus, the indestructible death machine from Planet Dinosaur and Primeval, the edgy alternative to T-Rex. That narrative was only fueled by the discovery of giant fragments, like the large rostrum MSNM V4047 or the giant Enish MUK dentary. But everything changed when the Spino Nation attacked. In 2014, paleontologist Nizar Ibrahim, Paul Serino, and their team unveiled new remains of Spinosaurus, another specimen that they called the neotype, or replacement for the holotype. It was a young adult, not quite fully grown at about 11.4 meters and 3.5 tons, and showed that the animal had shorter hind limbs than its close relatives would have indicated. The team proposed that Spinosaurus, rather than the towering killer of killers that the early 2000s depicted, was a semi-aquatic, knuckle-walking diving predator that actively hunted large fish in the water column of ancient rivers and lakes. This proposition was met with a mixture of skepticism, outrage, and excitement. Were the odd proportions due to the neotype being a chimera or a mixture of multiple species? Were they legitimate? What was the bizarre sale for? And, perhaps most importantly, did this invalidate all of the childhood videos of Spinosaurus rampaging to Lincoln Park?
I can't believe you brought that up! If you don't know, like, Lincoln Park back in, like, the early 2000s, or late 2000s, like, you had dinosaurs, you had, Transformers, stuff like that. That's all. Just mash those together. Dragon Ball.
In 2020, Ibrahim's team revealed more material from the Spinosaurus neotype, including a paddle-like tail that demonstrated that the specimen was not chimeric thanks to all the materials matching up in position and size. They argued that this tail demonstrated a clear swimming ability, strengthening their stance on its nature as an active aquatic predator. A 2022 study looked at bone density to argue that Spinosaurus and Baryonyx were likely semi-aquatic subaqueous hunters, while Suchomimus was more terrestrial. But not every paleontologist agreed with their interpretation of its ecology. Paul Serino led a massive paper in 2022 simply titled Spinosaurus is not an aquatic dinosaur. Simple, to the point. That study created a 3D model of the animal using CT scans of the neotype. They found that the 2014 reconstruction was not only too big compared to the fossil scans, but that the accurately scaled elements led to a center of mass more like a normal theropod than an animal that would be adapted for diving. They argued for an extremely lightweight Spinosaurus that was too buoyant to dive, with an overall body density of 0.85 kilograms per liter, barely higher than modern flying birds. That density has come under fire since the study was published, given Spinosaurus's clear lack of adaptations for powered flight. Or gliding flight. Has to be said. The drama doesn't stop there.
Imagine that.
2023 saw a paper arguing that Spinosaurus was heavily pneumatic, meaning that its skeleton was filled with air sacs, even more so than its relatives Baryonyx and Suchomimus, and that those affected density far more than dense hind limbs. This would make it lighter proportionally than most theropods, and make it very difficult to submerge in water. The mainstream hypothesis at this point was that Spinosaurus was a shallow water fish hunter unable to rapidly swim after prey in the water column, but perfectly capable of capturing fish like a stork or heron. Biomechanical research by Evan Johnson Ransom indicates that Spinosaurus focused on swift, lunging bites rather than high bite force, grabbing fish before they could react. His 2026 paper demonstrated that Spinosaurus, while having a less stress-resistant skull than other big theropod groups like Tyrannosaurs or Carcharodontosaurs, did have the most resilient skull of any tested Spinosaurid. The weakest areas of its jaws were by the back, supporting the idea that it would have grabbed prey quickly with a rosette of conical teeth in the front of its snout rather than wrestled with them. That being said, it would have been capable of taking on small terrestrial prey in addition to fish, and could have had a more varied diet than traditionally depicted, and it wasn't like its skull was at all fragile. It could still handle...
Oops, I muted the thing. Off topic. Obviously, birds are, descendants of dinosaurs, but I don't know, this image of, a Spino building a nest, I don't know. I love it, and it just feels weird to me, but I love it because obviously it's like, okay, well, like what if Tyrannosaurus did this? What if, Allosaurus did this, and obviously, like, there are, obviously you're gonna build nests because obviously with how big they are and like, but I don't know, I just feel like seeing like this, like a Spino doing it, like, I don't know, like, obviously, like, this is what happened, like, it is, there's nest sites that they found, obviously, and those are in dirt because obviously, it's been thousands or millions of years, but I don't know, just looking at this image just makes it looks like, I don't know, like building the whole mound, whatever, and then you put them in the mound, or you put the eggs down and then you build a mound over it. I don't know. It's cool to me. It's really cool to me.
Sonia just fine. That's a lot of background
Especially
information. But now
with how like
they're
treated in media.
In order to properly discuss
sometimes.
The bombshell new paper, context is key for this sort of scientific communication. For mainline Spinosaurus, we likely have a shallow water and shoreline predator that could strike quickly with its long neck. The neotype was about 11.4 meters and 3.5 tons, with the two giant skull fragment specimens scaling to a little over 14 meters and 7.5 to 9 tons, depending on the reconstruction. Now for the new creature on the block, Spinosaurus mirabilis, discovered in 2019 in the Far Rock Formation of the West African region of Niger.
Okay, so it was discovered in 2019. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Like, you don't know everything day one about it. I thought this was like brand new, like discovered within the past few months or whatever.
This species of Spinosaurus is affectionately nicknamed scimitar spino, thanks to the notable crest on its nasal bone that resembles the curved blade of a sword. That's the first crazy
Sahara,
thing.
okay.
The crest, which is made of solid, dense bone, shows a high degree of variability between individuals. That's right, individuals. Spinosaurus mirabilis isn't just the first good Spinosaurus material found in a century, it's known from 3 specimens, each preserving skull material. The crests differ in shape between each of them, with the holotype, which is the largest individual, having the most robust crest of the 3. The crests are all vascularized and made of thick bone, similar to the casques of modern cassowaries, indicating that they would have been covered with a keratin sheath in life and may have been quite colorful. The crests, along with the sails, could have been used for social display. The holotype, MNBH Gen 1, is considered by the authors to be a subadult, and is quite a bit smaller than even the S. aegypticus neotype at only 8 meters long, although that's restored with a shorter tail than the 2020 find would indicate. Most of the mirabilis holotype's bones are about 15% shorter than the subadult neotypes, so if you're desperate to project adult size, you could pretend you knew that both specimens were at the same exact growth stage. That would result in a fully grown S. mirabilis of about 12.3 meters long, likely weighing about 4.4 tons. Not quite megatheropod territory, but absolutely gigantic by modern land predator standards. The kicker here is that Spinosaurus mirabilis had longer legs proportionally than the Egyptian species, making it more similar in overall build to the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus than the dinosaur that the movie monster was based on.
Ironic.
The two Spinosaurus species didn't live in the same place, but they did live at the same time, about 94 to 95 million years ago during the Cenomanian stage of the late Cretaceous. Spinosaurus mirabilis was found along with remains of quite a few other animals, giving us a valuable insight into the ecosystem of the Far Rock Formation. We have Onchopristis, of course. Gotta eat something, after all. Polypterid fish were also present, along with indeterminate turtles and crocodilians.
What the heck? Wait a minute, I've never seen that turtle again. Wait.
Polypterid fish were also present, along with
What? Oh my, dude. Okay, others, like I am like nowhere near my knowledge for like every single like prehistoric animal or whatever, and even like current animals. Like it's I don't. What is evolution even thinking here? Oh, let's just put 2 basically like spike things on the backside of the turtle. What is that gonna do? What is it? Can this thing like hide in its shell and like spin around real fast and then just basically cut fish and whatever and cut sharks if it's being chased? Like what?
Determinate
oh my god.
Crocodilians. Some type of Asdarchid pterosaur flew around here, although the remains were too scrappy to identify beyond the family level. In dinosaur terms, Spinosaurus mirabilis was found alongside a new species of Rhopacosaurid, as well as a new Titanosaur, both of which I expect Serino's lab to be publishing on within the next 5 years.
Sauropods are so cool.
Non-Spinosaur theropod material was there as well. Indeterminate Abelosaurid, which is always nice to see, as well as, get this, a partial Carcharodontosaurus skull and post-cranial material. I can't wait to see how that informs our understanding of the charismatic, but quite fragmentary, megatheropod. The Far Rock Formation's location implies
Carcharodontosaurus doesn't get as much
The locality was at least 500 kilometers or 300 miles away from what would have been the nearest ocean in that stage of the Cretaceous, indicating that Spinosaurus mirabilis would have specialized in river wading and shallow water hunting rather than diving in large bodies of water. We were kind of reaching that conclusion for Spinosaurus aegypticus anyway, but given how similar the skeletons of the two species are, it seems likely that they were filling fairly similar niches in their respective environments. Functional morphology analysis found that Spinosaurus mirabilis was most likely to hunt in waters about 1.5 meters deep, wading through rivers and capturing fish with quick strikes. Its jaws, filled with interdigitating or interlocking conical teeth, were the perfect weapons for this lifestyle. So we have two main types of Spinosaurus as of February 2026. The northern coastal varieties with shorter legs that got to the 14-meter 8-ton ranges, along with the inland long-legged 12-meter 4-ton Spinosaurus mirabilis, if you want to project an adult size. I just think it's absolutely hilarious that the Spinosaurus who most closely resembles the Jurassic Park 3 monster is the smaller species by far. Call it a brilliant case of evolutionary irony. Subscribe for more paleontology updates and make sure to comment with your thoughts about this new Spinosaurus species. What do you think the variation goes public?
Oh, look at that. Alright, we'll put... I like this one. Here, we'll leave that up there as I kind of talk here. Okay, so I don't know. I thought they, like I said, I thought they were talking like this thing was like recent, as in like within the past year it was found, and then now they're just revealing it to the public and whatnot. But I guess it was more so just like variety of species, I guess. I don't know. I guess when I first heard about this, I was expecting like, oh, like we found totally like different stuff again. Like we're changing up Spinosaurus again. It's just like, okay, well this feels like more so it's just another like part of Africa where Spinosaurus, was. Just depends, depends on where it was, different subspecies and whatever, different variants and whatever. But I do find it kind of interesting and really kind of funny that they had a land one that was mainly a little more land based, and it's the smallest version. I think that is kind of funny. Obviously, like I think the fossilized rate, is it like 2% or 3%? Like everything we find is only like 2% or 3% of stuff that was like on this earth. And then obviously stuff like amber helps, and you get small little creatures like bugs and whatever trapped in them, which are always cool to see. I think there might even be some like lizards and stuff trapped in amber too. And then finding stuff like in Siberia where they found I think was it a mammoth and like a wolf, like a prehistoric wolf, and I think they found like a horse, like a prehistoric horse or something. Somewhere like northern Russia, Siberia, somewhere around there, because of the permafrost, or not the permafreeze, or whatever it's called. Basically, it just rapid froze the body. So it's like we're not gonna find every single species ever in existence unless we can time travel and actually document. Like we probably will only ever find, I don't know numbers, but it probably only maybe 10% max we'll find of everything. I have no idea. I mean, the Earth is billions of years old, so it's hard to kind of figure out everything, especially when like you go further back in time. Like again, go back to bugs. Bugs don't really fossilize. You want to go further back in time, and always find a lot of organisms that are less complex, I guess. Like the Cambrian explosion, like we probably won't ever find like more than 15%, 10% of that, like that era, just because of how small those animals were, and how, again, you have to have something fossilized. Like there's specific ways to fossilize. So it's always really cool to kind of, when they see new stuff, new discoveries, when they constantly are arguing about, okay, is this how it was? Is that how it was? And just different variants of certain species, like again, like the Spinosaurus here, where this one seems like it's a little more land dwelling than a bigger species. What the Egypticus I think was the biggest. I don't know. Again, I'm so kind of out of the loop with like this kind of stuff. I love it. Like I I have done I think 2 or 3 videos of a channel called Extinct Zoo on here, and they upload every Saturday, so it's kind of like a Saturday ritual for me right now to kind of just watch some of the stuff. Obviously, they've talked about like prehistoric humans and stuff like that, and then obviously all the way back to like the Cambrian explosion and stuff like that, because it's like an animal channel basically. It's like a history animal channel. Um, so I love like this to death. So. Um, no more ranting. Or not ranting. No more talking. I guess we'll just kind of wrap it up here. But this is definitely interesting. I think the crest looks really cool. Both on something like this and on the fossil. And they speculate that it could have been colorful, so it might have been like a mating thing or whatever. Or it could have been like a stego and just kind of like regulate temperature, which I think probably the sail would probably be more so than obviously like just a little crest, But I don't know. I just got like it. I don't know, it's just so cool. Like this stuff is just so cool to me. I absolutely love it. So, like the video, share the video around, subscribe. No idea what I'm gonna be doing next year, but again, I saw this I think it came out on Thursday. All this new information came out, and I'm like, well, I'll just kind of do something on Saturday, do something on the weekend here, get a video out. This guy put up a video a day after, so I was thinking maybe there'd be more information here on it. But I don't know. It seems like we're just kind of finding out more information from stuff from 2019, from a 2019 discovery or whatever. But obviously, again, it's going to take time to figure out what you find and everything, and try to put it together and blah 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 blah. So it's all cool. It's all cool. We're all good. No hate, no nothing. But I'm out of here. Peace out.